Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Happy Days podcast with me, Callum Church. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about why discipline is the most important thing in your life. Now, one of the most significant things I've done to improve myself, to improve my life recently, is to develop my discipline. Now, what am I talking about when I talk about discipline? The dictionary definition is the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behaviour using punishment to correct disobedience. But I'm not talking about that kind of discipline, I'm talking about something else. And obviously with this being a podcast where I share my ideas, thoughts and findings along my own personal development journey, this has been something that has been key to unlocking that and unlocking my personal development. Now, what I'm talking about is mental discipline. It's the discipline which you hold on yourself. Now, it's not always about following rules. It's more following a goal, a target, an achievement, and sticking to it. You are in control of that goal. You are in control of that target, and it's your discipline. And this is exactly what it is. It's your discipline. It's your ability to hold yourself to that. It's your ability to drive yourself. You don't have a personal trainer to shout at you and motivate you. You have yourself to do that. And that is the kind of discipline which I'm talking about. Now, this could be absolutely anything. You know, your goal, your target, your achievement. It could be absolutely anything. This could be getting out of bed early in the morning. It could be exercising regularly. It could be putting in extra work. It could be eating healthier. It could be focusing on your relationships and developing those relationships. It could be being a good boyfriend, being a good friend, or being a good girlfriend. It could be being more mindful, being more compassionate, putting yourself out of your comfort zone. It could be any of these things, but the key to actually achieving these things is actually not following that voice in your head that says, oh, I'll just have 5 more minutes in bed. And it's not following the voice that says, oh, I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. It's not following the voice in your head that says, this little bit of unhealthy food won't hurt. Now, sure, if you've earned that little bit of unhealthy food, then by all means, treat yourself. But you've got to have the discipline to tell yourself when it's right and when it's wrong. It's living in your own development-focused decision-making. So don't let this negative voice in your head control you. Because if you do, then are you really living your life? Are you really in control of what you do and why? You're not. Your comfort is maybe. It's your own little comfort zone, but you've got to put yourself out of that comfort zone if you want to get anywhere. And I'll talk a bit more about this later in the episode. Just don't let your flaws define you. Work on them. Use this discipline to work on them and improve yourself. It's development focused. That's what it is. Because no one's born at their prime. No one is born at their prime. If you look at the people that you look up to, could be someone who's succeeded in sport or music or business. Could be your parents, your mum, your dad, maybe, you know, your family, your siblings or an uncle, an aunt, maybe your grandparents. Could be anyone. Could be someone like Elon Musk or Richard Branson or, you know, these leaders in the world. But these people, they didn't start at their prime. Elon Musk didn't own Tesla and SpaceX and own 2 successful businesses which are innovative and leading the world. He didn't own them when he was a baby, did he? He built them up. Now, the fact is, when you look at these people, you compare yourself to them. But you don't need to do that because these people that are successful and that you look up to, they're mentors. But you're not quite there yet. And the key word is yet. You don't put yourself down and say, I'm not there, I'm not good enough. You're just not there yet. Because these people, they worked for it. And that's because they had that discipline. If they didn't have that discipline, they'd be absolutely nowhere. They wouldn't. Elon Musk wouldn't be as successful as he is. They'd just be an average person. They'd be ordinary, not extraordinary. And it's because they had that extra, that discipline, that desire to become extraordinary. extraordinary. But they had to earn it. And everyone starts from the same place. Now you might be saying, what about talent? Some people are born more talented than others. You know, someone might be really talented at singing, or someone might be talented, elsewhere. I mean, like, singing's the obvious one because everyone can sing. Everyone can sing. I suck at singing. I'm awful. I'm absolutely tone deaf. But I feel like everyone thinks that you can only be good at singing if you're given some God-given talent. But the reality is people work for that, just like anything else in life. So yeah, what about talent? I mean, talent means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And sure, maybe someone might get that little bit step ahead of you because they've been born with some talent. But if you work harder than them, and if you outperform them, and if you are more disciplined than them, you will succeed and you will be better than them. It doesn't matter if they're talented, because that will count for absolutely nothing if they're not disciplined. Absolutely nothing. And if you identify your success in life by talent, then you've already lost. You've given up. You haven't got that discipline, so you won't get anywhere. If you identify yourself and identify your success in life by talent, you've already lost. Discipline is owning who you are, is owning what you want to be. Discipline is owning how you're going to get there, and it's about owning your life. Don't be ruled by the negative voice in your head. Rule yourself. Rule yourself positively with development and virtue, and let your own discipline be the rule that you live your life by. Now, where's a good place to start? Because I know I'm doing all this talking, but how do we actually develop this discipline? One thing which I'd recommend to get cracking with your discipline and put it into practice is by developing a morning routine. Now, Hal Elrod, he is a author. He wrote a book called The Miracle Morning, and in this book he talks about how developing a morning routine can change your life. And he did this by coming up with one word. He put all of his morning routine into one word, and it's savers. S-A-V-E-R-S. Savers. Now, the S in this word stands for silence. The A stands for affirmations. V for visualization. E for exercise. R for reading. And S for scribing. And this is for developing your morning routine. So, why do we have silence in the morning? Why should we have some quiet time in the morning? It's to relieve stress, anxiety. Silence relieves that. But it also helps you to be most creative. Silence, you know, the morning is one of your most creative periods of the day. And by just sitting in a bit of silence, you can, let the creative juices flow, let's say. So, for example, this morning I was out running. That's partly exercise, but it's also partly silence because I'm running in silence. And how many times when you're out running do you have a great idea? All the time. Most of your great ideas are when you're quiet. For example, maybe you're in the shower, in the bath, having a run, maybe just eating quietly. That's when we're most creative. And I thought of today's episode, the structure and the topic for today's podcast to be about discipline, because that's something that I work into my morning routine, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. But that's just an example of how silence can, change your life. Imagine if you're having these great ideas every day. That's going to help you. Affirmations. Now, affirmations are something you say or repeat to yourself, which is in the first person, to basically trick your brain into believing it. And this essentially makes it become your reality. I'm going to talk about this a bit more in future episodes. But an example of this would be saying to yourself and repeating it in the morning, I am disciplined, or I am confident. And you can repeat these over and over again. For example, I've actually recorded myself, a little bit now, but I keep it to myself, I don't put it out there. I've recorded to myself talking about my affirmations. and basically bigging myself up. It's not necessarily bigging yourself up, but it's backing yourself, 100%. Or maybe telling yourself that you're something which you aspire to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be true, but with enough repetition, you begin to believe it, and then it becomes your reality. A bit like how I said in the first episode of this podcast. Now, V is for visualizations, and this is where you imagine where you want to be. Maybe achieving your goal or practicing something you wish to do. But what this does, it gives you a clear drive. It gives you a clear focus on what it is you want to achieve. And it actually drives you and motivates you to go ahead and achieve that. E for exercise. So everyone needs to exercise. It's just part of a healthy life. But doing it in the morning, it gets it out the way. It wakes you up, actually. And if you can get out of bed in the morning and do the very last thing you want to be doing in the morning. If I wake up in the morning, the last thing I want to do is go out for a run. But if you can manage to get up in the morning, if you can manage to get up in the morning and you don't give in to that negative voice in your head, and you don't say, 5 more minutes in bed, and you get up, you put your running clothes on, you put your running trainers on, and you go out for a run. If you can manage to do that and do the last thing you want to be doing, then imagine all of the other things you can do in life if you can do that. Imagine all of the other things. If you can do the last thing you want to do, then imagine all the things that you want to do. Powerful. Now, R is for reading, and we all need to read. We all need to learn. It helps, calm ourselves down, reduces anxiety and such. And the fact is, all successful people read. If you look at all the most successful people in life, they all read. And we finish school, college, university, wherever you stop your education, we finish these. And in some people, if they don't read, they learn absolutely nothing, or they learn the minimum. They learn the minimum, let's say. If we get to, say, 20 years old and don't develop ourselves anymore, then how do you expect to achieve the next goal, the next level up, if you don't level yourself up on your own? If you don't read, then how do you expect to develop and achieve what you want? Because you're not. You're going to stay at that same level, or just peter along. Now, S is for scribing. This is basically just writing, but obviously you can't have saver w. I mean, the W doesn't work, so it's savers, and the S is for scribing. And this is just, writing. Could be journaling. One thing which is also a really good practice in the morning or at any time of your day, but a really good practice to do daily is actually writing what you're grateful for, writing your gratitudes. And it's just practicing being grateful, being happy, because although we're looking forward at what we want to achieve in life, it's also really important to sometimes look backwards and be grateful for what you've already got as well. Now, my morning routine is, first of all, you get up. You just, as soon as the alarm goes, get up, get out of bed. And the first thing that I do after getting up is exercising. Sometimes I meditate first thing, but what I've found is, I'm not a morning person, far from it. I'm the type of person that wants to lay in bed, but I force myself to get up, and if it's an early morning, sometimes I meditate, but I find a lot of the time that I just I'm just sat there half asleep and it doesn't really work. So sometimes this is something I'll do before bed or maybe a little bit later in my morning routine. So the first thing that I usually do is exercise. This could be getting up for a run, going for a bike ride, could be doing, going to the gym, doing a home workout. I do home workouts. It's quite impressive. Well, not impressive, I should say. Surprising what you can do with just body weight and, press ups, all that sort of thing. Quite impressive. But yeah, just general exercise. This could just be going for a walk. As simple as that. Just get up and go out for a walk. But exercise is so important for the reasons that we mentioned earlier. After this, I get showered and dressed because I'll be coming back from my run a little bit sweaty, a little bit hot. So what I actually do recently is I've actually started taking cold showers. And the reason I do this, there's many good reasons. It's fat burning, but it wakes me up. But the main reason which I do this is because the last thing I want to do is step into an icy cold shower. Now, what my head is actually telling me is, go ahead, Callum, put that shower on hot. And that's the negative voice in my head. But I figured if I can go against that and just turn the shower to cold, and I can overcome that negative voice in my head, that's going to give me the best opportunity to discipline myself. So that's why I take cold showers, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing, and you feel really good about yourself afterwards. So that's why I take cold showers. So number 4 is affirmations. As I explained before, I have a little recording of my own affirmations, and I just play that over and over with some headphones on, just repeating some of my affirmations. And yeah, affirmations. Number 5, I get breakfast, healthy breakfast. I find that if I get up and cook something proper or prepare something proper instead of some shitty slice of toast or some brown fried rubbish. I think if I get up and say have some watermelon in the morning, something light, and it just starts the day off correct, because that's overcoming that negative voice again. It's telling you to prepare something quick, prepare something that might have that unhealthy nice taste. I'm not saying healthy stuff doesn't taste nice. Sometimes it doesn't. I hate porridge, for example. I hate it. But I love fruit, so I have fruit in the morning. But yeah, it's overcoming that negative voice that's stopping you from achieving what you want and stopping and killing your discipline. And number 6, I read in the morning. I try and read at least 10 pages. Because that's just a good little amount of reading to be doing in the morning. However, if I don't get around to doing that in the morning, then maybe I can do that before bed. But it's also important to read in the morning. So there you go. That's my morning routine. So if you can't do this, if you can't develop your own morning routine, if you can't develop your own discipline, how do you expect to achieve anything else? And I just want you to question that in your head. How do you expect to achieve anything else if you can't live with discipline? If you can't get up and make your bed in the morning and tidy your room. Before I developed my discipline, I was really untidy. I had an awful room. But it's great to come back from work or, come back from your run in the morning maybe even, and see that you've got a nice, tidy room which reflects your mind, because that's what it is. The space around you reflects your mind, or your space around you reflects your mind. So if you've got tidy room, tidy mind, happy days. Exactly, that's the name of the podcast. So yeah, there's a lot of people on Earth. There's 7 billion, 7 billion people. The number's going up every day, but 7 billion people on Earth. That's a lot of competition, and to be as successful as you possibly can, you've got to outdo everyone else. There's a lot of competition. So do the extras. Be disciplined. Go against the negative voice in your head and do the extras and take your ordinary life to extraordinary. Be extraordinary. Now, the other thing I'd say on this is don't wait. Do it now. Do it right now, because that's what discipline is. If you say, I'll go for a run in 5 minutes, or if you say, I'll stay in bed for just 5 more minutes, I'll snooze my alarm, then you'll snooze it and you'll snooze it and you snooze it again, because as soon as you press that button, you've lost that discipline. You've lost it. And that's why you repeatedly press that snooze button in the morning. Because if you can't be disciplined enough to not press it and just get up, then you're not going to be disciplined enough to not press it the second time it goes off. So do it right now. And if you don't start now, then when will you? If you don't have the discipline to do it now, when will you? Because the longer you wait, the harder it gets. If you don't have the discipline to do it now, then the harder it's going to be the next time that you don't do it, because you won't do it. So do it right now. And the fact is, the minute that you start to do it and practice these things and be disciplined, the easier it gets. If you go out for a run and, it might be the first run that you've done in a while, it might be the first run that you've done ever, who knows? But if you go out for a run or exercise or whatever it is you're doing, or get out in the morning or take that cold shower or, practice your affirmations, whatever it is, it's going to be easier the next time you do it. If you go out for a run and you absolutely kill yourself and you come back thinking, oh my God, I am knackered, I really don't want to do that again, then just consider this. Now that you've been out for that run, your body is more conditioned to be able to get up and go out and do it the next morning. Or at least maybe the morning after that, after you've let your body recover a little bit. But you're going to be more conditioned to do it, and you will be surprised. If you go out 5 runs in a row, you'd be absolutely staggered at how much easier it is on that 5th run compared to the first. Absolutely staggered. I'll tell you for one, you will be blowing on that first run that you go out on. But after 5, you'll feel so much more better. And after all the endorphins and that, you'll be feeling great. Now, the imposter syndrome is just something which I want to touch on quickly. The imposter syndrome is basically when you don't believe in yourself, when you think you're worse off than you actually are. And that sucks. I hate the imposter syndrome. And I think if everyone on earth didn't have the imposter, if the imposter syndrome wasn't even a thing, then everyone would be so much further on their personal development journeys. Everyone would be so much more motivated and healthier, and successful if this didn't exist. But the fact is, everyone gets it. And I get it too. I get it all the time. I get it with this podcast. I get it with my work. I get it with absolutely everything I do. Who am I to start a personal development podcast when, maybe I'm not particularly as far down that journey as other people? If you look at people like Tony Robbins, for example, he's way down that journey. He's way more successful than me. He's way down that journey. So who am I to start a podcast? But the fact is, if I don't start now, then when will I? If you don't start now, then when will you? Doesn't matter how successful you get, there's always going to be that one person who's better than you. You could be, one of the best music artists in the world, but you'll still compare yourself to other people, and you'll still, think that there's better people out there. So who are you to release your music? I've got a friend who's really good at producing music. He's a music producer, and he shows me his music, and he is brilliant. He's really good, but he's got the imposter syndrome, because when I say to him, why don't you release this music? Why don't you put it out there and show people? Because he's beginning to. He puts it out there a little bit, but not nearly enough as he should and needs to. And I ask him, why don't you put it out? And he says, I'll start putting it out when it's a little bit better, when it's perfect. But the fact is, it's never going to be perfect, because in life, we're always looking for that next level up. There's always the next level up. You earn an annual salary of X, you're always going to want to earn the annual salary of X plus 1. You're always going to want to earn more, succeed more, make that next level up. My friend is always going to want to put out music when it's just that little bit better. And the fact is, that goes on for infinity. He will die before he puts his music out there if he maintains that same mindset and maintains the same level of discipline or lack of discipline. So just do it. Just do it. And that is what discipline is. Just do it. Like Nike or Nike. Just do it. Simple as. The fact is, you're always a lot better than you think you are as well. I'm sure my friend thinks that his music isn't nearly as good as I think his music is. And that's because everyone judges themselves and compares themselves, and we just want to stay in our little comfort zones, in our little bubbles. And the fact is, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't step out of that zone, and you don't put yourself out there, and you don't discipline yourself, and, step out the comfort zone and release that music, or start doing your morning routine, start running, start eating healthier, Start thinking about your relationships more. And if you do it, then people are going to admire you for being bold and putting yourself out there. They'll admire you for it, because the average person won't do that. They will see you as an extraordinary person. Now, you might not see yourself as that, but you will be extraordinary if you have discipline and put yourself out there. You will be better than the average person. So do it. Get out your comfort zone, do the extras, and put that extra in front of the ordinary to be extraordinary. Now that you've been listening to this podcast, you have a choice. After everything I've said for the past 26 minutes, you have a choice. Now, the choice is this. You're either going to be disciplined and adopt the discipline and get up earlier in the morning, start eating healthier, start that morning routine, start releasing your music, or start being bold and stepping out the comfort zone. Are you going to adopt discipline and do these things, develop yourself, achieve your goals, be happier? Because that is on the other side of discipline. If you develop and maintain your discipline, you will be happier, full stop. So you have a choice. Are you going to adopt this discipline? Or are you going to totally forget that and just be mediocre? Because the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Now that you've listened to all of this, the choice is yours. You can pick. One in each hand. Are you going to pick discipline, or are you just going to be mediocre? Choice is yours. Start now. That's all from me for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you took something from it, as always. This episode will be released alongside others, so make sure you check the others out. Just listen. I hope you enjoyed. That's all from me. Take care.